It's fun to be inquisitive. Be nosy, stick to your passion, find out more for yourself. Quest is fun. Join me, Tristan Pang, on a journey of inspiration. Welcome to Youth Voices. Hello everyone, welcome to my show. This is your host Tristan Pang on Planet FM 104.6, Youth Voices. Great to have you here. In today's show we have a very special guest, my very good friend, who is also part of the same group in Science Scholars, Anis Azizi. Let's talk. Anis was recently featured in the New Zealand Herald about her newly founded Facebook page for uni students to share their own feelings and everything. And on the New Zealand Herald page, there was also a very beautiful picture of her. Yeah, so anyways, Anis, welcome to my show.
Hi, Tristan. Thanks for having me.
So first of all, could you tell us a bit about yourself, about maybe where you're born and everything?
So my name is Anis, as you already know, and I come from Malaysia, and I study psychology as a BSc. And I'm here as a scholarship student funded by the Malaysian government. And then I came here with quite a few of my friends and classmates back home, and we came in the same flight to New Zealand, didn't know what to do, and no, actually, we were welcomed here by our seniors.
Yeah, that's great, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I looked a lot about Malaysia. I've never been there myself, but it seems like a very cool place. Could you describe a typical Malaysian day, or what happens in Malaysia? What do you like about it?
Yeah, so Malaysia, I think a lot of people don't know where Malaysia is. So Malaysia is...
Is it in Europe?
Malaysia truly is. So Malaysia is between Thailand and Singapore. And it's, even though it's a third world country, it's one of the leading countries for the halal industry, and a lot of for Muslim related industries. For example, the Muslim fashion and also halal food. We are the leading country for that. Yeah. And also it's a mixed country in terms of poor and rich and all of that. And I was born in kind of like a what do I say? How do I say that? Like a village, but it's also quite like in the city. It's in the city, and then I also was brought up in the city as well. So I'm pretty much a city girl. And when I came to Auckland, I didn't really feel that much difference, except that it's a lot calmer here than in Malaysia. And that's what I really love about Auckland and New Zealand in general, just how much calm and relaxing it is.
Yeah, that's very interesting, Anis. Also, I quite like Malaysian food as well. It tastes great. What do you think about the difference between Malaysian food here in Auckland and back home?
Oh, so different. Okay, first, the spice is so different. We don't use a lot of spice here because it's expensive. And then, so you use a lot of substitutes here. And then the best ones so far that I've tried personally is Papa Rich, and I go there only to reward myself because it's quite expensive. But yeah, I try to cook Malaysian food, and then I just really miss the spiciness. Last time my friend's mom came here and bring sambal belacan, which is basically like shrimp paste, and it's very spicy. Back home it's very spicy, and then she brought one that's like a commercial one, and then I tried it. It wasn't spicy at all. And then for her, she was crying, and I don't taste anything. Yeah, and then I really miss the spicy food back home.
Yeah, maybe you can open a restaurant, right?
I know.
Yeah, and also I heard that people in Malaysia can speak a lot of different languages. How many languages can you speak?
I can speak only 2, unfortunately. But I can read and write Arabic. I can read and write Korean, and I can understand a little bit of Chinese. But for me, I'm not really that, I'm not very talented in terms of language. But for a lot of other Malaysians, the ones that are Chinese Malaysians and Indian Malaysians and other ethnicity group, they can speak about 4 to 5 languages. So for example, a typical Chinese can speak Hokkien, Mandarin, Cantonese, English, and Malay, which is my first language, Malay.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So now let's move on to some of uni stuff. So you are the international student officer at AUSA, which is the Auckland University Student Association. So what does being the ISO mean? What do you do and everything?
So as an ISO, I represent all international students in the university. And I am responsible for three things: representation, events, and also welfare, specifically for international students. And in terms of representation, you know already, like when I'm going to the university, there's like meetings, and then I give opinions that are more related to international students. And then in terms of events, it's more about helping students trying to adapt here into the culture here in New Zealand, and also feel like New Zealand can be a second home for them and they feel like more welcomed here. And another one is for welfare. It's also related to events. You help students when they come here. You tell them, oh, what is Countdown, where to get cheap food and things like that. Just little things that you would know if you grew up here. So through that, which is through the buddy program, we give we assign a mentor to students, and then the mentor personally help students trying to like adapt to the culture here.
Yeah, that's very cool, and it's a very important job, I can tell. So how do you have any big goals being ISO this year? What do you want to achieve?
So for this year, it's all about community. And it's all about, I think, with that community, it comes with collaboration and a better relationship with so many other people. So from what I noticed, there are so many people doing about the same thing in university. For example, like the clubs in university, they're all about bringing people together, making friends, and make sure people have a good time in university. But then they mostly just do events by themselves. And some of them try to collaborate. But then not much in the international student community itself. And then what I'm trying to do this year is to try to build better relationship between AUSA and the international student clubs, and also between the clubs themselves. So far, they are doing quite a good job. Like the clubs are doing quite a good job building a good relationship among themselves. But between AUSA and clubs, it's not really good because it feels like there's a distance between AUSA and the clubs. Because the AUSA is doing all these big cool events, and then there's the clubs doing whatever events that they're doing. They're doing a great job, but I feel like we can all provide a better experience to students if we all collaborate. And and so that's why I did a lot of things this year, although it's only April. That's why I did a lot of things that are more into building community and working together. So with that, for international orientation this year, right? In the first semester, I managed to get 60 volunteers to help me out. And then people helped me out from around 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Yeah.
Wow.
To around 8 p.m. And it was a really full-on day. And I was so happy that both students and the volunteers had so much fun. That was like the first big event, and also it was very successful. And then I was really happy. And after that, I managed to just socialize a lot and network a lot with other clubs and all the presidents and all of that. And then through that, people kind of know me, and then they join lots of the things that I do. And then it breaks the barrier, I guess, between AUSA and also the students, because usually AUSA is doing their own thing, and then with what I'm trying to do this year is I join what they're doing, and I try to support what they're doing as well. So makes AUSA feels more student friendly.
That's great. And I mean, AUSA and also all the university clubs, they all have the same goal, which is helping students and helping the community. And for example, like my maths club, we're trying to collaborate with you to bring some board games and also maths to the international student and the wider community. So that's great. Yeah. Okay, my next question, Anis, is a bit about Meaningful Confessions, the Facebook page I mentioned at the start. So you came up with this idea last year, right? What do you think about it? How did you find the need for this idea and everything?
So Meaningful Confession is actually a pretty sad story, because it's not an original idea. That's what I would say. And I started it at the time when I was having a very hard time. I was so depressed and I was crying so much at that time. I don't remember. Oh, actually, there's quite a lot of problems happening to me at that time, and then with university pressure, and then family, and then just so many things happening at the same time, and then it kept happening. So you know how I have quite a few friends, and
Yeah.
then I keep telling them the same problems, and then I just didn't want to bother them anymore with my own problems, and then so I was thinking that, hey, I remember that there's a confession page back in Malaysia where people could voice out their problems and get some support anonymously. Maybe I could find something like that in New Zealand. And then I was so surprised that there was nothing like that in New Zealand. And then I decided that I should make this. And then so I did it. I didn't even know that it will grow at all. Yeah, and then now it's almost 10,000 likes now.
Wow,
Yeah,
yeah.
10,000 likes, yeah, which is a little bit crazy. It started because I was not mentally well, and now it's pretty. I don't know. It's pretty exciting, I guess, and quite surreal that now the page is collaborating with Niche and helping students to deal with any mental health issues that they're going through in university. And then, of course, we're not professionals at all. But I guess that opinion and then feeling like another person also went through the same thing, and then you don't feel like you're alone in this, and then you also feel inspired, I guess. I know that someone else is trying to help you go through this, and then you can also do it if they can do it. Something like that.
Yeah, that's very cool and I guess inspiring as well. So thanks for sharing that with us. You do a lot of stuff. So your study, your AUSA role, just to list a couple. How do you manage to do so much things? How do you plan your time and everything?
This is something I always ask myself. I guess it's about. I always prioritize. Okay, this is quite bad, but it's either work and family and friends kind of thing. So I always find time from my friends and my boyfriend's family and things like that just to hang out and then to relax as well. I swim because, I need to swim because if not, I will be too stressed out. And then so basically anything that's related to my mental health, that's number one. Number one. And then after that, I prioritize either work or study. Work or study, which one is more urgent at that time. So it's a lot of like reprioritization as I go. And then I guess my boyfriend helps me a lot to get me in check with a lot of things. So he notices things more than me. Sometimes I just do things like mindlessly and then don't really think about it. So for example, last week I was so hectic. It was so hectic just with work. I was interviewing around 7 people for Culture Week, and then it was so busy last week, and then I didn't really have time to study. And then my boyfriend was like, okay, go swimming, and also find some time to study, things like that. He always reminds me of all this stuff. So that's how I balance and try to reprioritize, manage my time. It's always
that's very
having someone
cool,
to remind me.
That's great. That's great. Now, could you tell us a bit about your study, Ani? So you're a psychology major, so it's your final year. What are you doing this year, and what do you think you'll do next year after you graduate?
Okay, so I'm doing something pretty exciting. So I only take 2 subjects this semester because of the workload, and also the degree planning is a little bit meh. And
Which
then,
is a normal issue at university.
Normal issue. I know. So frustrating. And then, so I'm taking social psychology and also lifespan, and I love both of them. We do a lot of like romantic relationship in social psychology, and then because I have a boyfriend, I test a lot of things in our relationship, and I just look at our relationship and I'm like, oh, so that's why you behave like that, or I behave like that, and it's really cool. And then I'm also part of a research group this semester. It's for Science Scholar.
Yeah.
You know how in Science Scholar in next semester we get to do like
Yeah, research
our
project.
own research project,
Yeah.
and then they told us to join a research group this semester, and so I did. And the lecturer is a social psychologist, or actually a community psychologist, I think, and I'm helping her for a clothing study, and it's an interdisciplinary study between research, actually interdisciplinary research between chemistry and also psychology, and it's about for the psychology bit, it's about looking at people's materialistic values and the reasons they shop, and why do they know all these implications of shopping to the environment, and also do they know that the working conditions of these people, the people that creates those clothes are really bad, things like that. So a lot of ethical stuff.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. How about next year? Any plans yet, or still open-minded?
Still not sure yet for next year. I'm thinking of doing honors, but I kind of have to weigh on the pros and cons of doing honors, especially because, like, I don't know, maybe it's just a Malaysian thing or a collectivist culture thing, because I'm the eldest student, and I'm the eldest student. I'm the eldest child, and my parents really want me home, and then I've been away for 3 years, and then I am very close with my family and my parents, and I take care of them a lot when I was back home, and then I guess they miss me a lot, so they've been trying to get me home. Yeah,
That's very understandable.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's all about like family or study and things like that. Yeah.
I guess we'll find out next year. Yeah.
And
And also you mentioned you received a scholarship to come here from the Malaysian government. So what is that scholarship about? Is it...
So I received a scholarship twice, basically. When I was doing my high school certificate back in Malaysia, I got good enough grades to get a scholarship to do A-levels back home. And then with my A-levels result, I got a scholarship to come here. It's kind of like you are guaranteed a scholarship if you pass certain points.
Yeah.
So I passed that point and passed the requirement, and then so that's why I'm here. Back at that time, Malaysian government is still quite rich, I guess. So they spend quite a lot of money on sending students overseas. So I have quite a few friends overseas. I have a lot of friends in the States, UK, France, German, Japan, Korea, Australia, and also in New Zealand, just everywhere. And then, unfortunately, after my year, the government became more strict, and so the requirement is a bit higher. Even for my sister, who got way better result than me, didn't even get scholarship to go overseas. Yeah, which is
That's a bit sad,
unfortunate.
but I guess it's good for you.
Yeah, I guess the
Yeah.
timing.
So Anis, of the many things you've experienced and you've done in New Zealand and opportunities and everything, what's one thing you would take back to Malaysia?
One thing, I would say my courage, I guess. I'm quite a timid person, and of course, like, I always doubt myself a lot, and I didn't know that I'm capable to do so many things until I came here. Back home, I was really like the underdog. Like, I didn't do anything, and even when I got the scholarship, a lot of people were so surprised of it. And I was basically just an average, just normal person. Just
Yeah.
I didn't think I could do anything. But when I came here, I guess the fact that I was away from my family and friends, I felt like I can just restart myself, like be born again as someone that I want to be. And then I was pretty much the same during my first year. I was still like myself back home and all of that. And then only during the second half of my first year, which I made quite a big decision, which I couldn't really share here. It was actually a very big decision. And after that, that decision was a very brave one. And then after that, it started the momentum of me just being brave. And then, so I did that one thing. And after that, I started going out more. I started just socialize more with the locals here because back then I had a fear to socialize with the locals or anyone that speaks fluent English. So in my first year, most of my friends were international students, and then quite a few were locals as well, but they weren't really close friends of mine. And then in my second year, I joined the Science Scholars, and also I hung out more with you guys. And then I started to realize that, hey, locals are not really that scary, and then they don't really judge my English. It's quite normal among international students to feel insecure about your English. And then after that, I did volunteering a lot more. I volunteered with AUSA after that as well, and then when I first volunteered with AUSA, I tested quite a few ideas, and it didn't feel scary for me because I was just a volunteer. And then when I'm doing AUSA as ISO, I also don't really feel that scared because there's so many people supporting me. There's so many people helping me out at AUSA, and also just my friends and volunteers. They're really great. And so I also, even though like I freak out all the time before a big event. I would freak out, but then I would still do it anyway. Like even right now, like it's normal for me to just cry if like I'm stressed out, if I'm scared and things like that. But it's just for me to just acknowledge that, hey, I know that this is too much for me, or this is probably a bit out of my comfort zone, things like that. And so I cry, and after that, I'm fine. Yeah, but I need to cry quite a few times for me to be fine. And then so I just feel like, it's scary, but do it anyway.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and courage is a big thing. So,
and that's what I'm bringing back to Malaysia. I just want to put myself more out there and just not be scared to try a lot of things and try new things. And because Malaysia is, well, it's the same with everywhere in terms of people are quite judgmental, right? But I guess I'm just being quite optimistic here. If you have the right mindset, if you have the right mindset, it will show through your attitudes. And if you just if you have a good intention, people can feel it.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for sharing that with us, Anis.
You're welcome.
And also, finally, I saw that you're very kind of action. You if you say something, you take action on it, kind of thing. So for example, the New Zealand Herald article, you kind of got the idea that you wanted to go and contact the New Zealand Herald, and you basically, instead of leaving it as an idea, you went for it straight away. So
I'm quite impulsive.
How are you? How do you? What makes you do stuff like that? And do you have like any other examples of you being
impulsive?
Yeah.
I would say that I am impulsive. I don't know if I don't ever see myself as being action driven or like trying to act on something that if I say I act on it, no, I usually just think myself as just being impulsive. But then it ended up being good. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Another example, I guess, is with this. I got an idea to share Te Reo Maori to international students. And then I immediately contacted the Maori student officers here about the idea, and they loved it. And then since then we collaborated, and at first we started as just sharing relatable phrases. For example, wehina, which means oh my god, it's amazing, online. And then after that, we try to post it we try to publish it through Crackham, which we're already doing it now. And then now we are also sharing it on 95BFM.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess at the end of the day, any idea is a good idea, right?
Yeah, any idea is a good idea. Yeah. Usually a lot of things doubt themselves in terms of idea, but I guess for me, I'm like, meh, I'll just try it out. And if people don't like it, people don't like it.
Yeah.
I'm hard on myself in terms of my performance afterwards, I guess. But in terms of trying things out, I don't mind. Like, I'm just like a person who's just trying stuff. I don't need to know everything. I don't need to I don't need to be scared if it fails or anything like that. I'm still learning. I mean, I'm still a student.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still a student, so I can just try anything. And that's what I really love about university here, because there's so many opportunities here, and there's so many things that you can do here, and you can just try a lot of things, which I don't think I can ever try back home in Malaysia. Like, already here, I've been interviewed on a newspaper. And then for the Te Reo Maori thing, I was interviewed by the Maori television. And then now I'm interviewed by you. So I'm like, there's so many things that I get to do here that I couldn't do back home. And then I'm so glad that I guess I put myself out there and then just try things out. Yeah. I mean, even though I do a lot of things, I still love to just chill and then watch a movie. I always watch a movie anyway.
Yeah, that's great.
Just to relax at
What
home.
movie did you watch recently?
Avengers!
Oh, wow. Yay.
Actually, yesterday.
That's
2
great.
days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, thanks for coming on my show, Anis. And yeah, before we go, let's say thanks to 95B for helping me out and lending me the studio.
Terima kasih, 95B.
Thank you, 95B. And yeah, thanks, Anis, again for coming on my show.
Sama-sama.
And that's it from me, Tristan Pang. Thanks for listening, and I welcome your feedback and your support of the program, so please email me at youthvoicesnz@gmail.com or visit my website quest-is-fun.org.nz/youthvoices. That's questisfun.org.nz/youthvoices. See you next month. Bye. Join me again for another exciting program next month on the first Wednesday at 2:10 p.m. or listen anytime online at planetaudio.org.nz/youthvoices or listen to the archive on my website www.questisfun.org.nz/youthvoices. Youth Voices.